Should eminent domain be illegal in the United States? Eminent domain is the government's right to take private property and convert it into public use. However, the law states that the government must provide fair compensation to the property owner. So if the government wants to create a park in your neighborhood and your house is in the way, it can buy it from you. Basically, any private property can be used for public use through eminent domain. Sure, it's legal, but should it be? It's only governments that have the power of eminent domain. Agents of the government, such as gas companies, railroad companies, or other such vital entities, can buy up private property. The government can grant private companies the power of eminent domain. Maybe a high-speed rail system is being built in your state, and private construction companies need your land because it's in the way of the tracks. The state will grant eminent domain and force you to sell your private property. You might not like the idea of eminent domain. It gives the government too much power. It's not really fair if you don't plan on ever selling your property. When you're forced to sell your property, that triggers a sale, and that sale is taxed. On top of having to sell your property, you're also going to get taxed. That doesn't sound fair at all. Eminent domain is most commonly used when a road needs to be built or expanded, or if a public school or public hospital or park needs to be built and your area is the best place to put it. But like all things with the government, eminent domain can be subject to corrupt politics. Give a group power and there's always a small faction controlling that group. We hope they're good. The problem with eminent domain isn't the need for roads and schools and parks. The problem is who decides which private property gets bought and who benefits. A local politician could sway his city to build a large park in a neighborhood that opposed him for election. All those people will have to relocate elsewhere and the politician gets rid of unwanted voters. Eminent domain is a great way of getting rid of people in your city, county, or state. Eminent domain has been used to place public use spaces in poor neighborhoods. In many places, publicly funded sports stadiums are built in poor neighborhoods, driving out residents and bringing in wealthier patrons. Even city-owned airports are built in poor areas because it's cheaper to buy up the property and because rich people don't like the smog and sound of airplanes. Want to find a wealthy area on a map without having to look at the data? Find places where there are no large highways or a place with lots of green parks. It makes economic sense. Governments have to pay just compensation to these owners. Why spend $5 million paying off a homeowner in Beverly Hills when you can pay the same amount to pay off 10 homeowners in Compton? It's just cheaper to displace poor residents and wealthier ones. And this money is taxpayer dollars, so people who aren't subject to eminent domain would rather the government spend less. There are instances where a private individual can fight back and win an eminent domain case. You would have to prove that you weren't justly compensated or the public use proposal would do without your property sold. Usually you can prove unjust compensation by getting your own appraisal on the property and using that against the government's appraisal if that can stand in court. For the public use portion, you'll need to reason that the public use development doesn't require your property and can be built without the need for you to sell. Fortunately, in the US, you have the right to fight back eminent domain. But know that eminent domain is a vital part of keeping our country mobile, secure, and beautiful. But know that eminent domain can be a tool in unfair practices and at times, corruption. So what are your thoughts? What do you think of eminent domain? Comment below. And as always, take care of your money.